how you are. You just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Welcome back. My name is Omni Flash and I'm your guide to the new world. In today's video, I will show you how to gold M10, the hardest mutated Lazarus dungeon, and get 6,000 Umbral shards. We're going to go over all the strategies, my builds, my skills that I use, everything you need to know. This will be from a tank perspective. This will be a tanking guide. However, I will also be commenting on the DPS and healing perspectives as well. All right, so first of all, if you get lag detected, what you want to do is to log out to the menu and then try to log back in. You want to do this as quickly as possible, and you want to make sure to prevent yourself from auto dying while getting log detected. Make sure you want to turn auto run off. If you had your auto run on, you may actually auto run into oblivion. Another thing to keep in mind is if you want to gold the dungeon, doesn't matter if it's M10 or it can be M8, M7, M9, whatever, you have to make sure that you want to do it as quickly as possible. If you can hit by 35 minutes, that will get you most likely a gold. Now, if your DPS is a little slow and you're going to have to use 39 minutes, then you have to go for a different approach. You want to make sure that you do not fully die and respawn. No, not more than 3 respawns. You can have 3 respawns, but you cannot have 4 or 5. If you have 4 or 5 respawns and you do not hit the 35-minute mark, you will get silver. Now, this is a gold M10 run. You may have noticed that it wasn't 6,000 Umbral shards. It was 4,502 plus 1498, because Umbral shards are in stacks of 10,000, and since I have more than 10,000 Umbral shards, it's showing up as 2 numbers. Now, I've read a comment from my last video and they wanted to know what exactly was the armor attributes that I would recommend, and I will tell you the armor attributes that I currently use. I recommend for tanking, generally you will want refreshing ward. So my hat is refreshing ward resilient, my chest piece is refreshing ward resilient. Those 2 pieces are sort of key pieces, your hat and chest piece refreshing ward resilient. Then I recommend for you to get the perks for your weapons in your gloves, your legs, and your feet, because everyone rolls those. They don't necessarily roll hats and chest piece very much, simply because the material cost is a ton more. So for my hands, gloves, and feet, I do have accelerating divine stance resilient, I have fortifying shield rush resilient, and I have nullifying oblivion resilient, and these pieces are for PvP. I wanted to test if I could tank M10s without any ward gear. So no ancient ward gear is needed if you want to tank M10. I highly recommend that after you get your ward gear up, then perhaps you will start to put in pieces of ward, because there's nothing else that you have to upgrade. So I would, in order to make the runs easier and faster, go ahead after to make some ward gear. Simply, when you put in ward gear, you can put in less con. And when you put in less con, you can put in more strength, so you can actually speed run these faster. So if you have ward gear, it will speed up the runs. You can put in less con, more strength, more damage. For melee DPS, I do highly recommend that you get ward gear. Now, Stan in this video is in 100%. He has full set of ward gear, ancient ward gear. To charm this set, he has a full set at 625. You can see how much more tanky he is than anyone else in this dungeon. For ranged DPS and for healers, you just have to dodge and make sure you don't get hit, and you won't need ward gear. If you have a problem and you do get hit, then you might need a few pieces of ward gear. All right, so my favorite for tanking is sword and shield, of course, with the reverse backstab. That cooldown reduction is huge. The shield bash provides fortify, and also Defiant Stance is a great 6-second AoE taunt. Hatchet is even better, has an 8-second AoE taunt on Berserk. We have the 2 additional throws. Sometimes when I'm tanking, I want to be able to pull enemies, and I use my hatchet and I smack them. They follow me. I get aggro initially instead of letting the DPS get the initial aggro. Rending Throw is great. It rends the enemy so you can deal more damage to it for the whole entire party. You have Adrenaline Rush. I get Adrenaline Rush this way when I use a throw, when I use an ability, my Berserk. If I dodge after it, I will use less stamina. Also, the Disease Throw is amazing. It will also weaken your enemy. It will cause them to heal back lower, so there's lots of leeching enemies. The Disease Throw will help. I love my hatchets simply because of the 8-second AoE taunt from Berserk. Not only do I love it, the healers I run with also love my hatchet. At the beginning of your run, make sure to repair all of your gear. You don't want your gear to break mid-dungeon, or you will be taking insane amounts of damage and dealing no damage until you repair it. Highly recommended that you have Refreshing Move on your sword and your hatchet. My hatchet has Refreshing Move, Keen, and Hated. On my sword, I have Refreshing Move and Contagious Reverse Stab. On my shield, it is Sturdy, Refreshing Ward, and Flame Resistance. This dungeon has a lot of flame circles. The flame resistance comes in handy. I also have Health Divine Amulet. I have a Hardy Sacred Ring. The reason I have a Hardy Sacred Con ring is because I also use it for healing, and I don't have shards for 2 rings. Now the next one I might move up is my Smooth Bone ring. Your Smooth Bone ring is a good tanking ring as well. Also for the earring, I have Nimble Refreshing Toast. Now you can also use Doom's Chance earring if you don't want to do that. I have Con's jewelry because then I can use it for any other build, my healing build, my DPS build. Well, for my DPS build, I will need Keen Awareness, Hardy Leeching, or something. You want to make sure you buff up, so I would recommend using a trade skill. You want to use a trade skill, food buff. You want to use a regular food buff. You want to have your regular hearty meals. You want to have your honing stone and your coatings. Having the extra trade skill buff will allow Light's Embrace to heal you for more. Okay, so especially if your healer is kill config is using the same setup as I did in Genesis. The same setup. Kill config is healing this M10 dungeon with a 620 gear score. We aren't telling Stan or anyone else that kill config is only 620 gear score, which is a lot less gear score than is needed for an M10. So, I mean, great healing by kill config, and you can sort of see where he stands and how he avoids. I do recommend that you check out my Genesis Mutation Dungeon run, which will show you how I would heal with Beacon, Sacred Ground, and Light's Embrace. So I am the tank. I am in control of the situation. I go in, I throw my Rending Throw hatchet directly at the mini boss. That will proc the fire circle to land right underneath me, and then I drag the 3 mobs to the big circle where we fight in. Now, after the 3 mobs get close enough, which is within 8 meters, I use Defiant Stance Grab Aggro. After 6 seconds, you will want to switch over to your hatchet and use Berserk. Doing this will allow you to keep aggro on all of the monsters until there is only 1 monster left. And when there's 1 monster left, you can just hit it. You can just attack the boss and you will contain the aggro. The pink circles on the ground are silent circles. They deal no damage to you until they expire and they start showing sort of like splashy orange. When they turn like that, you want to get out of the circles if possible. They deal massive damage when they explode. Alright, so for the next 3 mobs, we have 2 little crawlers and an archer. Your main concern is the archer, as the archer does insane amounts of damage. While tanking the mobs, always have an eye on the archer. So I'm spinning this around. I need to find out where that archer is, and as soon as I lose aggro. Alright, so the way you tell if you have aggro is, you see how the health bar, it has a fuzzy red glow around it. When you have the fuzzy red glow, it means you have aggro and your healer is safe. Because as soon as the archer de-aggroes, it's probably shooting at your healer and will probably get 2-shot. Your job as a tank is to clump up the enemies and maintain aggro. So what you want to do is clump the enemies up so that your DPS is able to AoE damage all of the enemies as closely as possible. So right here, I do want to use my AoE taunt. Everything is going to attack me because I just used Defiant Stance, and they will not unaggro me for 6 seconds. Once you see something that isn't aggroed, you want to get over to them and get the aggro really quickly. Now, if it's a Javelineer, once you get aggro, you can actually drag the Javelineer back to whatever you have to kill. Because Javelineer will most likely jump to you until they feel threatened. Then they'll run away. Then we just have to get up and close and destroy the Javelineer. When I hold block, I provide a 30% fortify for the melees around me. So sometimes just holding block will provide extra protection. 30% fortify is nothing to laugh at. It will allow your melee DPS enough protection to tank a lot of things. A lot of things that might one-hit them will do like half the damage. So that's where Refreshing Ward comes in. If you have Refreshing Ward pieces and things are beating on you, your cooldowns will go down faster. It is good to have the healer on comms with you so that the healer will be able to open the doors at the times that is perfect timings. You don't want to open the doors and be overwhelmed. You don't want to open the doors when you don't have an AoE taunt up. Now, sometimes there's going to be silent circles, so if you want to use AoE taunt, you have to jump out of a circle in order to use your AoE taunt. Just make sure that the enemies are within that 8-meter radius. Alright, so we're going to get this other door. It's going to have 2 Reavers come out, and you can try to stop them. Gravity Well will not stop them. Well-placed Putrid Screams will stop them from jumping out and hitting the healer. If you are the healer, be aware of that and know that you probably have to dodge out of the way from 1 or 2 Reavers if they are not screened in place. So the DPS we have for this run is Stan is using Hammer and Great Axe. He uses the Maelstrom in order to group the monsters so that you're able to hammer them down. My Way or Else is using Void Gauntlet, Ice Gauntlet. And Reyna is also using Hammer and Axe. Main DPS is to use your Hammer. You're probably going to use... you can use gems like Diamond, Opal, Malachite, or you can also use electric gems. Now for the last 2 circles that you step on, you can step on the 2 circles immediately. After stepping on the final circle, the monsters will despawn, because you don't have to kill all of these in order to get gold. So for the last 2 circles, be sure to go grab them and to activate both circles as quickly as possible. This way, the last wave will despawn. And when we come in here, we want to hug the left wall. Hugging the left wall will make it so that you don't have to fight the whole room. You only have to fight 1 or 2 monsters. Usually, this Taskmaster and the Crawler. I do recommend not getting the chest if time concerns, so that you can gold the M10. I'm going to come over here, use my rending throw. My rending throw is a little longer distance than my infected throw. I'm going to aggro the monsters in, and my way hits it and gets aggro. I have aggro now. I think I used my Defiant Stance and Berserk. The big boss will come first, but the little crawler will come and most likely try to kill your healer. So have an eye on the small crawler and aggro the crawler if possible. Stan went down, so I dragged the boss into this room, allowing a DPS to pick him up. You can't stand in the fire circles unless there is a fortifying sacred ground. Putting sacred ground and beacon will pretty much neutralize the fire circle. Also be sure, when I aggroed the boss, it did not aggro the defender, which is nice. Now we just have to go over here and get that archer. It is one of the biggest threats. Defender, not so much. If the fire is killing you, be sure to put in rubies. Rubies will help a lot with the fire. The explosion from the silent circles actually even hurt me as a tank. Fire circles don't actually hurt as much as when those silent circles explode. Now, if you're in a void mutation, you will want to put amethyst onto your armored pieces, and since this is a fire mutation, we put rubies into armor pieces if you have to stand in fire circles. So as a tank, you want to attack anything that you lose aggro on, and as you hit them, because of your carnelian gem, you deal less damage, but you get 300% more aggro. Right here, I'm gonna put some rending throw on them, make them a little easier to kill. We're gonna kill these two first, so that we can kill the two archers below easier and not get exploded off. The archers is the main problem. If the DPS are on that archer, I come over here and I get the aggro on this archer. Your job is to make sure that the healer isn't aggroed. That allows the healer to heal correctly. So if the healer isn't healing correctly, it is possibly because they have monsters aggroed onto them. After this river goes down, one person will cross the bridge. Only one person will cross the bridge to talk to Celia. After they talk to Celia, they will not recross the bridge. You go over there, you talk to Celia, and you will go to menu and you will click unstuck. Stan is going to do that, I think. Someone is going to do that. I am going to do that. All right, make sure nobody on your team crosses or touches that bridge, because if anyone touches that bridge after you talk to Celia, it will spawn another 4 or 5 mobs that you don't have to kill, and it will ruin the time, because this is a timed run. When you unstuck, you won't have to touch that bridge, and you will only have to kill this archer and this avenger. And they're both explosive, so be sure to remind your team explosive so they don't fall and jump into the water. All right, right now we are going to run into the next room. this is an attempt to grab the 2 archers, the 2 defenders, and we're going to try to kill them without aggroing the main boss. And normally we are able to do that. All you have to do is jump. See where kill config is standing? Everybody should be there. We didn't do it correctly. We were standing over there, and we aggroed the main boss, which is pretty bad. What you're supposed to do is run all the way around and jump up to that side where kill config was standing. Okay. See, the big boss came out to meet us. All right. So I mean, this is not supposed to happen. The main boss is supposed to stand where he used to stand. We're not supposed to bring him over here. But it's all right. We just have to deal with it. So I think Stan wants us to try to de-aggro the main boss. I think Stan realizes it's not working when the main boss throws a void circle where he was standing, so he jumps down. So, well, I mean, this isn't a bad place to kill the main boss. We already destroyed his bodyguards, so now we're just going to go in and kill him. This is the main boss of this Lazarus dungeon. He is harder than Celia. He is harder than Charmdis by a long shot. He has void circles. He has fire circles. He summons 3 bodyguards every 6 seconds. So there's one huge thing that makes this boss slightly harder. He just summoned a void circle underneath him. And he does this AoE stomp. See that AoE stomp? You can see that AoE stomp. And if you are melee DPS, you need to dodge that. However, most people don't dodge that. So what I do is I hold block and I provide that 30% fortify. If I didn't provide that 30% fortify, Reyna would not have survived that stomp. But you can see that Stan is a whole lot tankier than any of the other DPS simply because he has 25% Ancient Ward. He takes 25% less damage from that boss from any ancient enemies in this dungeon. Alright, for the next part, you want your whole team to run behind this pillar and hide from line of sight. I just went over there, I rented through that archer so it aggroed me. Then you want to sort of stand where I am, and you see how that archer ran to us? Isn't that great? That is great. Everyone's going to be close by. We just maelstromed all the enemies together, and we're going to stomp them to death. This is perfect. Now, if you are a healer, you can either be down on the ground with us. However, if you are a little squishy, maybe a 620 out of a 625, then you can stand on top of there. And if you get hit by an archer, if you get aggro by an archer, you can sort of stand a little backwards. And because you're on the 2nd level, you can hide from arrows. All right, after those monsters are dead, we will get this little crawler and then kill the Reaver and the crawler first. After we take the crawler and the Reaver, we will focus on the main mini boss and his two Avengers. If you can, you want to scream the Reaver so he doesn't get away. We DPS him in this corner, so he's sort of stuck in this corner. Since these mobs are melee, you can actually aggro them and try to drag them out of the fire circle. Once I have aggro, I'm going to try to aggro his little minions to him. palace is a lot easier to deal with than that sorceress boss that we had before we came in this room. After that, you want all of your full team to cleanse. Okay, apparently everyone has washed their hands and cleanse. You will want to grab this crystal. In case you die, you don't have to run back from the beginning of the dungeon. As soon as your entire team crosses that bridge, you want to start Celia. One thing that you should do is perhaps stand back a little bit. You don't want Celia to aggro you before the tank has gotten aggro, okay? You have to give the tank a few seconds to smack Celia before you can start attacking, or he might lose aggro and Celia might spear you. If you are ranged, it doesn't matter if the tank has aggro. Celia will spear you. Celia will throw a spear at you if you are ranged, DPS, or if you are a healer. So be prepared to dodge when Celia is facing you and has her spear up. Celia has one of the coolest weapons, okay? It's a spear staff. So she shoots, it's like a void staff. She has a void staff. She shoots little void circles at you, shoots void waves, and uses it as a spear. It is a really cool weapon. One of Celia's mechanics is that after she hits you, she above her head you see this fist with a number, right? Every time she hits you, the number goes up. Once it hits 8, one of the orbs will go up. Once that number gets to be around 10, you want to hit that orb as quickly as possible. This will cause Celia to run back to where that orb was despawned, into this little pool. What you want to do is grab well her before she can get back to that little pool. If you're able to grab well her, it'll give you another extra 5 seconds to beat on her. After she gets back to the pool, she will be on what we call mage mode. So she won't be stabbing you with her spear. This will allow you to deal damage because she doesn't deal as much damage in mage mode. You're able to go in and start whacking at her. It is right now that I get lag detected. When you get lag detected, don't freak out. It's part of the game. It's one of the new mutations. Okay, you're gonna get lag detected once every 3 dungeons. What you do is go into menu. You want to log out to menu and then re-log in. While you're re-logging, be sure to start praying. Pray to the gods. Pray that some people on your team did not get lag detected or are still alive and that they can res you. For reses, the best times to res is when she's going back to her orb or after she uses her AoE. Or when she does this, when she starts spinning and raises her staff in the air, everyone needs to get close to her. And then once she puts down the purple AoE, you need to run away. Then you have to get back to her and she will throw a wave. When she throws a wave of purple void onto you, you want to dodge that. As a tank, you want to always lead Celia, right? So I'm leading Celia. Sometimes she charges you. When she charges you, gets behind you, you want to reposition yourself. And as DPS, you want to make sure that you are not behind the tank, but behind the boss. This way, be sure that you are behind the boss so that Celia does not spear you while she is trying to spear the tank. Alright, so when she has her AoE will still go off and kill you, even if she's dead. So be sure, top priority, get out of that AoE. Getting the loot is not as important as staying alive, because if you have more than 3 wipes, if you have more than 3 respawns, you are not getting gold. If it takes you longer than 35 minutes. So I will be mid, Stan will be bottom, and we will have 3 top. There is this thing that you can do if you want to solo. It's very easy. You just come to this wall. It's a new strategy. It's called jump blocking. This is a feature of the game because as you are jump blocking, you see the archers miss you, okay? So archers are usually pretty accurate, but if you're jump blocking, they can't seem to hit you. I'm guessing it's because I'm moving so much, they're not able to lock onto me. So the 3 on top, they will be focused on taking out the monsters as quickly as possible so that they're able to come and clear the monsters in the middle. Alright, so the top is cleared. So we're going to go in and aggro these monsters and clear some of them. Alright, so I think kill config got the aggro of the archer, so I have to get aggro of the archer. We're going to pick up Reyna now. And after these mobs are dead, we're going to go aggro the spear and shield guy from the other room. Alright, got aggro on the archer again. Maintaining aggro is very important. Right now I lost aggro because Stan got aggro on the archer, so it's not that important. I know Stan can get hit by the archer and still survive. I'm gonna get right here, rending throw, and you know you have aggro simply because the boss actually drops the fire circle on top of you. Now a second ago Reyna got down, so Stan told Reyna to go back and touch the crystal. This way it resets the time that she got down. This way the next time she gets down, she doesn't automatically respawn. So because we have the fire circle and a beacon, we can stand inside the fire circle. because we have the fortified sacred ground and a beacon. Now we're going to go in, grab the 2 defenders, and kill the archer. You don't want the archer and the spear shield guy, simply because 2 fire circles is worse than 1. Okay, so right now, if those defenders are down and it's only that archer left, the healer, after the healer puts down the sacred ground, the healer can start opening the door with the Azoth wand. This way, after the boss dies, hopefully that door will already be open. Then, because time is very important. Oh yeah, since time is very important, we are going to reuse your honing stones, reuse your coatings if time has already passed, just to make sure that for the rest of the dungeon you're going to have coatings and everything ready to reuse your food while that door is being opened. Then we're going to run past all these mobs and we're going to go to the bridge, and we're going to group everything up and kill them all on this bridge. You can also run inside that room and hide in a corner for line of sight, but doing it on this bridge is a little bit more fun because the monsters are explosive, and if your friends get exploded off of the bridge, it's pretty funny. You can make fun of them. You can see that I'm actually using common regeneration potions, and the reason I'm using common regeneration potions is because I have about 500. These dungeons give you a lot of common regeneration potions, and they are about as strong as the strongest regeneration potions, okay? They give you a percentage of your HP back, and since I have almost 20k HP, it heals me for a lot of HP. I also have Divine on my necklace, which will also increase the amount of HP that the potions give me. That monster just gave me another common regeneration potion. It's impossible for me to use all of my regeneration potions, so use them freely, because common regeneration potions are pretty much free. So I like to group up the monsters onto this archer because it's actually pretty difficult to pull an archer where you want it, but you can move all of these monsters onto the archer. This crawler does lock on to kill config, so you want to use an AoE taunt. Right here I have I taunted all of the monsters. I noticed I lost aggro on the big spear guy. Going to have to go back and try to aggro. Now, if you are on comms, the healer can tell you if something is shooting him. For this run, I am on comms with kill config, so he can let me know whenever he is in danger. Right now, these monsters are really grouped up, probably from some well-placed maelstroms. Yeah, there's another maelstrom. Alright, so we have this Javelineer. Have to get aggro on both of them and then try to drag them together. Many tanks tell me, but I can't aggro them. They are too far away. Well, that's because you didn't drag them together, okay? I'll just go over, use Berserk, and I can aggro both of them. And if it's Javelineer, it will actually jump up and try to spear you with its javelin. Alright, so this Taskmaster is running after kill config. His job is to stay alive, dodge, evade, repost, flashay away until I'm able to reacquire aggro. Alright, all the monsters are down. We want to go in. First thing I want to do is I want to use my rending throw and aggro the boss so that the boss will drop the fire circle away from him. So one nice thing for these fire mutation is if you have one range DPS that's really strong, that range DPS like an archer can very often aggro the fire circle away from the boss. This makes melee DPSing a whole lot safer and a whole lot easier. So having one bow or one fire staff is really good for these dungeons where there are fire circles. See how my way is keep getting aggro for the fire circles? This makes it a whole lot safer for Reyna and Stan since they don't have to stand inside of fire. Well, I mean, even if you do have fire, be sure to have Fortified Sacred Ground. Alright, so this is a caster. His Void Stomps don't hurt as much as the first mini caster boss. However, if you are like a healer, I still want you to stand a little bit farther away. His stomp doesn't look like a really big AoE, but it is a pretty decent sized AoE, and if you are in range, you as a healer will also get hit, so you gotta be careful now. Looking at our team comp, we are missing the rend from a spear, so I put on my Dryatic Javelin of Empowerment, and I'm going to change all my stats to strength. With this, it's going to make the last boss a little easier. My Perforate is going to apply a 30% rend on the boss for the entire time. As a tank, you will be using whatever secondary weapon as needed. You can notice that all of my secondary weapons have carnelian gems in it. The Keen Vault Kick from the spear does keep aggro. Berserk from the hatchet does keep aggro. Carnelian gem inside a hammer does keep aggro from shockwave. You want all your melee DPS and your healer inside that Fortified Sacred Ground as long as possible. Then you want everyone to stack up on one side of the boss. This way, when the silent circles go down, you can just walk to the other side of the boss. You saw how we were stacked on the right side of the boss? Silent circles go down, we all went to the left side, and you can continue to DPS. Now, if we were spread out on the boss, the silent circles will completely cover the whole area, and no one will be able to use skills. Not having skills will slow down your DPS significantly. You want to make sure that you want to get to the left ball first, all right? This way your DPS does not have to DPS the balls, okay? If you run and go to the right ball first, your DPS will have to waste DPS and get another ball. Run to the left ball, and once he falls down, make sure that you rend him. Make sure that someone drops an Oblivion Circle so that your full team is empowered. Because when Charmdis falls down, he takes a lot more damage. As a healer, you want to drop your Fortified Sacred Grounds on your team and on yourself. You saw Kill Config, he was blocking. Kill Config was blocking. He knows that he's under level. He knows he takes a lot of damage. He needs to hold that block down whenever he's about to get swiped. Stay in that circle. Stay in your circles as much as possible if you're a healer and if you have lower gear score. Now there are spots against the back wall that you can stand. If, for example, you're an archer, a fire mage, or a healer that you can also stand. I just recommend everyone getting close so that you can stand in Fortified Sacred Ground. But yes, having an archer in the back against the wall is fine also. You want to try to time the silent circles so that it's not when he falls down. This way you'll be able to maximize DPS when he falls down. If you do get hit as a healer, your first priority is to heal yourself. Make yourself, top yourself off. Those silent circles, when they explode, do hit like a brick. So be sure to get out of those circles, even if you are a tank. And especially because I took all my constitution off. And that's pretty much it. We're going to get 6,000 Umbral Shards for gold M10. I hope this video has helped you so that you too can get gold M10s in Lazarus Mutated Dungeons. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. I'll be sure to answer them, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Please like, subscribe, and smash that notification bell. Thanks for watching.